let me guess, being on apps is exhausting. In fact, you are so tired of guys on there who are not religious, maybe not even praying. They're just talking to you forever. And it's just honestly getting you nowhere. And you've spent way too much time in there. You don't even want to be on there in the first place. Maybe you've even deleted it because you had to take a break and then put it back, but you're still getting nowhere. The same kind of guys, right? But here's what nobody tells you about dating apps. They're meant to be a place to fish, not swim. Most of you are swimming. Sorry to say. And you know what? Actually, the longer you stay in search, because I know you feel like asking them a couple more questions is just going to do it, the further into the rabbit hole you go. There's a way that's way better, way faster and more effective. Besides, staying on the app is causing you a lot of emotional and psychological drain. Let's face it. You can't just keep deleting the app and putting it back forever. Now, I mean, you probably experienced some excitement or even just nervousness when you first downloaded the app thinking maybe this is going to be it. And then the longer you're on there, you're like, ick. Like, is this the only way to get married these days? I'm just crying inside. In the next few minutes, I'm going to share the biggest app mistakes and the simple shift to fix it because I'm going to be really honest. Most of you are on there wrong. Totally wrong. And inshallah ta'ala, I'm going to explain the way that we have taught thousands of women to actually find men. Because yes, you can't use the excuse that the app is broken, the men are broken. I'm going to tell you it's deeper than that. And you're probably doing something right now to turn men off and you don't even know. Or attracting the wrong guys and you have no idea. So let's do it together. Your experience with apps is going to change starting now. Welcome to the Mindful Muslimah Speaks podcast, a safe space to learn and grow into the best version of yourself that you're always meant to be. I'm your host, Mindful Muslimah, a mom of 5, big sister to the community, and a licensed educator with 25 plus years and supporting tens of thousands of Muslim women worldwide. Now, I'm excited to share a ton of solutions to your problems on love, relationships, life balance, reconnecting with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, getting back on track, and more. So grab a cup of coffee and close out those tabs. These next 20 to 30 minutes are all about you. Let's get started. So dating apps for Muslims require a completely different approach. There are some people who love it, but there's not many, if I could be frank. Today we're going to talk about how to avoid the common mistakes that women make that either attract the wrong guys or just keep them on there forever and make it really icky, which keeps quality matches away and drains your emotional resources, and how to instead attract a guy that is compatible with you. All right, let's talk about the first one, staying on the apps too long, which is actually dangerous and a time suck. The mistake I find women make, if I could just can I be honest? They ask really not good questions. So their whole approach to even starting it up is either talking small talk or just throwing out some questions because they don't want to go deep too fast. And this whole process has a very Western tinge to it. And it's a really good way to just not figure out the guy is not the guy until way later, wasting a ton of time. One thing that we tell women to do is to be completely honest from the beginning. And I know some things are scary to say. So I was telling a story to this sister that I coach, and because she was really, really feeling down and out about not being able to find a guy. And I told her the story that I had experienced with another sister who thought the same thing. Like, oh, this is too hard. It's not possible. There are no good guys out there. And I was like, absolute nonsense, because we help women find good guys all the time. What they don't understand is it's so mental, and mostly their fears are running everything. So for example, I had this one sister, she had called me up super desperate, crying. She was like, you're my last hope. So I was like, woo, no pressure here. I get that a lot, by the way. I'm going to get divorced. You're my last resource. Oh my goodness. So she basically says to me, I am at my end's wit. I'm 42 years old. I'm done. And I have a special needs child and I'm never going to get married. I'm just never going to get married. I mean, to be fair, ladies, pause on my story, the stigma in our community. We are not kind when it comes to mental health or special needs. We have some work to do. May Allah make it easy. May Allah make us better, right? But so this sister was really frustrated. She says, I'm going on those apps. There's guys just like trying to do long distance marriage, take advantage of me, a whole bunch of stuff. She cited so many things that were really, really sad to hear. And she's like, on top of that, I have a child who's special needs, but he's not just a little special needs. He's like special needs, like I think he was almost like a teenage years, and he's like bedridden. Like it is a serious task. She's going to spend her life caring for him. And the man she wants in her life has to accept that and accept him. So she told me the way she was setting herself up on the apps. She told me, I said, run me through it. How are you using it? And then I was like, oh my goodness, girl, you are attracting all the wrong guys because of the way you're dealing with the app. So then I explained to her a couple tweaks. And her biggest fear, I said, what's your biggest fear? She said, my biggest fear is someone won't accept my son. And I said, is your son the most important thing to you? She's like, hands down, absolutely. Any mother would, right? But she was just like, he's so important. So I said, all right, how about this? How about we put your son front and center, right at the front? So like either they take him or don't, and then we don't even have to bother with the rest. She's like, no, sis, that's so awkward. I was like, we're not putting pictures of him. We're just explaining that this is your situation, and this is like a non-negotiable. You are straight, not talking to a guy unless he accepts him. And you're going to talk really open, honestly, and passionately about your son. And she's like, oh, this is so awkward. I said, can I ask you a question? How long are you looking for a guy? She's like, it's been 6 years since my divorce or something. And I said, okay, has any of that been working for you? She's like, nah, it's just been horrible. I said, okay, so is my way something we can try? Because no offense, I have a record of helping women get married, and you have a record of not finding men. Whose way you going to go with? She's like, okay, fair enough, right? So what happened was I basically said to her, let's try this. So I gave her what to do. She went and did it. Off she goes, right? Maybe about 3 months later, I get this urgent phone call that she needs to speak to me, my team tells me. And all of a sudden, she comes on the phone and she's crying. Now, I'm super worried because I'm thinking, woo, this woman, maybe something happened to her child. I'm so worried something happened because now we have a relationship, right? I coached her for a while. So alhamdulillah, she comes in and she's like, I'm so happy. I just wanted to talk to you. And I was like, what? She's like, 2 months after I left you, I got married. That's it. She's like, I did exactly what you said, which was everything I feared. And I'm married. And I started crying and she started crying. And I can't tell you how she realized the mountain was her. She was putting in front everything she was taught to do as a woman, to be attractive, to be desirable, and, looking for the guy in the right way. She wasn't doing anything haram. But still, the core belief she had, she wasn't putting them forward. Now, mind you, a lot of people, like they will do that. They'll put the course forward, but then there's a second problem, and I'll tell you in a second about that. So anyway, long story short, I said, who'd you marry? She's like, he's like a doctor. And I'm like, subhanAllah. And he knew of my son's condition. And I said, well, let me ask you a question. How come he was attracted to you when you put out so much stuff to push him away? She's like, you know what he said? He said, your story, I saw the love you had for your son. And I said, if that's the kind of mom she is, imagine what kind of husband she'll be. You see that? That's a man who appreciates a woman who takes care of theirs. And that man loved that. And you know what? That's what she wants. She wants a guy who appreciates that and will take care of who. And so she found that. And that's the thing, sisters. We are putting our fear over our faith. And that sister found exactly what she wanted. But she had to do the hard work. I told her exactly what to do. But to be fair, she had to actually do it. And there's a lot of fear conquering there. And kudos to her because she's the one who deserves that. Because she really, really did things that were against what she was taught in the past. And that's the thing. We have these horrible stories that we're taught. And so I want you to know that staying on the apps too long is not the answer. She did this in an incredibly short amount of time, snatched him up, and then off she went. And so alhamdulillah, the second thing I'll tell you, which is important, is that some women do put it all out first in the front. But here's the thing, ladies, I'm going to be frank. The other problem women are having is they don't understand how to attract men. There's certain things that you can say and do in a certain way that men will not like. They just will be turned off. So for example, I deal with a lot of really powerful women. A lot of women that I coach, they're basically doctors or pharmacists or like government officials or lawyers. They're just really powerful women. And they're like, I've got it all. Why can't I just have the family? I'm so lonely. I literally pour my heart into my work. I do my career. I did my whatever. And then I come home alone in an apartment or a home or still live with my parents. And I feel like, when is my life going to begin? And I get that because that's so hard. And so I said, well, you're gorgeous and you're smart and everything. Let's figure it out together. And I listened to them, and it's really clear to me, usually right away, that it is so much in either the questions they're putting out there or the delivery. And by the time we get done talking, we find out that their questions are so far from exactly what they need to be doing. I had this one sister and I said, well, talk to me. What are you doing? She's like, well, I tell them right out the bat, and I work like this, and this is really important to me. And I say, sis, this is not a business contract. It technically is. Let me rephrase. Technically is, but you can't make it sound like that. The man is just thinking, woo, she is so independent. She doesn't need me. I have no place in her life. Do you see that? And I know this is hitting home with some of you as you're listening. There's a whole lesson. And I'm not really big into, I know there's this new trend of feminine energy. Okay, Islam always had feminine energy, okay? Women in the battlefield, they would go out and battle, and they would come home and be sweet to their husbands. And they knew when to turn the masculine energy on. Let's say you got to use it at work. I get that. But you got to learn how to turn it off. You can't just be like, this is who I am all the time. That's just ridiculous. Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he had amazing emotional intelligence. He would switch up depending on who he's talking to or where he is. It is a skill set. So if you don't know how to do that and no one ever taught you, that's okay. I totally get that. But you do need to learn, because that's one of the number one reasons I see, other than a couple other things, that women are pushing men away. And you don't realize you're doing it. It's super subtle. You're like, I'm not like that, but you're not talking to you, to be fair. And so men are hearing another song. So they're just like, woo, that sounds like a lot. A lot of women tell me that the men are thinking they don't even want families or children because they're talking so much about all their stuff. And then they're like, that's not true. And I'm like, but that's what you're making him think. You see, men have certain things about them. And if you don't understand what pushes them away, and then you're pushing all those buttons, those could be guys that are meant for you that you just lost because of you. I'm doing a little tough love today because it's really necessary, okay? So the other thing is, so the first one is you're staying on there way too long. Obviously it's haram, but like you're staying on there too long. It's not even how it's supposed to be. And then the second thing is, when you do talk, you're using so much of the energy that is everything they don't want to hear. There's a way to stay powerful, by the way, and independent and working like I do those things, right? But to still be a woman, somebody that they feel like, gosh, I love her and I want to have a family, and they can let their guard down with. And you can do that. You just got to learn the skills, because whatever you're doing right now isn't working. And if it was, you wouldn't be struggling so long. I'm just being honest. It does not take that long. Qadar billah ma shafa'a, like, okay. Like Allah brings when he brings. But the majority of women that say that and then I start working with them, no. It's definitely like, it's not that they're bad women. They're just doing it wrong. Literally, right? Let's talk about another one. Another one is the fact that they're going on these apps unprotected. Let me explain. I hear so many stories about women with difficulties with their fathers. I know, guys. I know how it is. You have fathers who maybe it's so many scenarios, right? But let's just say a couple. One is maybe your father is like, as soon as you get a guy, he's way too critical. And then he just drives him away, even if he's good, or he won't accept a guy unless he's from your country. Or like you want to like maybe show him a revert or show him a guy from another village. And he's like, nope. Or maybe it's your mom. Sometimes, honestly, it's not just the dad. Sometimes it's the moms. And so either way, your parents are not on the same page as you. And it's just so difficult. So what women do is they start to look alone, which is like, not permissible. And I get the headache. Or like they'll totally like take their dad out the picture and just do it with their mom, which is also not like, okay, right? So at the end of the day, they're finding no success. Well, let me just say, if you want success, you have to do things that please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that give you the barakah. When you take the whole barakah, the whole blessing out of the situation, you're going to struggle, right? So alhamdulillah. So they're going on there alone sometimes, even just like totally alone. And oh, my mom trusts me, my dad trusts me, I'm on there. It doesn't matter, guys. Islam says, no, Allah Kareem, he knows why. You're on there alone. What is the guy thinking? Ooh, she's alone. She's unprotected. Nobody's watching her. He's thinking more about, like, he doesn't do it like outright, like devious, but I mean, in his mind, he can do more things with you because no one's watching. I promise you, you put her dad in that room, that guy's going to totally talk different. Do you get what I'm saying? So like at the end of the day, you're unprotected in the apps. You're not getting the best version of him, and you're bringing the shaitan into the scene because now you have two people alone. And Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he said, when two are alone, shaitan is the third. So let's understand that rules, we may think, I'm smart, I know how to cut guys off, they can't take advantage of me, I know how to stop. It's not about how smart you are. The hadith didn't say this is the hadith, unless you're too smart for the hadith, then you don't have to follow the hadith. That's arrogant. I'm going to call it out. It's arrogant. So we have to just humble ourselves in that way. Alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us a means to do things. The Quran is a complete guidebook, but most people don't know how to use it. So the last thing I'm going to tell you is I had a story of a sister. She felt so beat up and stressed by the situation. She's just like, what is wrong with me? Why am I not lovable? Why am I not someone to be desired? I used to think like so happy about finding a spouse, and now I'm just destroyed. I don't even want to look anymore. Maybe it's not meant for me to get married. Absolute trash. That's my answer to that. Absolute trash. You cannot say there's an ultimatum when you haven't learned anything. I was very, very kind with that sister, but I was very straight too. Let me explain to you ladies. I have come to this point in conversing about spouse seeking where I'm like, let's get real. Let's stop blaming things that are comfortable. It's really easy to say it's not my fault, the other person, but let's instead just own the fact that I don't know. Why don't we just own that? Like, all right, you know what? You're right. I actually don't know how to use the apps. All right. I'm doing the best I can. I go on there, I search around, I click buttons, I tell guys no, I flick them away, I try to talk to them. But honestly, I'm just feeling it out. I'm just doing my best with what I've got. That I respect. It's not your fault, right? However, you're not going to go and do something that is so pivotal. This is the husband, this is the father for your children. You're going to live with them with the next 3 to 4 decades and do it on a whim. On a feel out, like, oh, I think maybe. That's insane. But that's what most of us are doing, right? We're just feeling it out, figuring it out as I go, using my smarts, using some Instagram advice, using my girlfriend's advice. Oh my goodness, please. This is so serious, guys. So let me tell you what to do instead. That sister said that to me. And I said, sis, can I just be honest with you? I heard you talk to me about how you use the app, and now you're deducing that you're not marriage material. That is so hurtful to me to hear you say that. You are absolute marriage material. But it is also incredibly clear to me that you have no idea what you're doing. So, can we figure this out together? So, we did, right? We sat there and I explained everything to her and she went off, right? Within 6 months, she's married. Is it because we have some special seher? A'udhu billah. Never. It's because how do you do something if you don't know how to do it? I told the lady, I want you to go and cook biryani. I want you to go and cook some amazing, this really, let's think of something super complicated that people make. I don't know. It depends on how well you guys cook, right? But if it's like kebsa or mahshi or something, I pick out a super complicated dish. I think biryani is probably the one that's most like, layered in terms of flavor and people are picky about the way it's done. Hyderabad or like whatever. Okay, so you go in there, you only cooked for 1 year. Do you think you're going to have a really great experience cooking 1 year? You just like throw some spices around, saw some stuff on Instagram and YouTube. Come on. How about if I have a grandma who's 25 years cooking come and show you? Hold your hand. As you're doing something wrong, she goes, no, don't do this. Take this one. And then you serve that biryani to your family. That one versus the first version. Which is going to be better? Keep it real. So I'm sitting here spending this many years teaching sisters and they're getting married. You better believe I'm going to tell you exactly how to do it. But I can't help you if you want to pretend you actually know what you're doing. I can't. I really just can't. So my suggestion to sisters is this. If you don't know, say you don't know. Own it. I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know how to have a healthy, happy marriage. I was clueless. I was screwing up my marriage and ruining it. And this is a really great guy. What a shame. I was able to figure out that some things I didn't understand about men. Then I learned them, and then I became way more lovable and approachable just because I could speak his language. I was the same person, but I did not know how to convey my ideas in a way that men could understand. But now I do. Married to my best friend. Happy story ending, right? Alhamdulillah so far. Tomorrow is always tomorrow, right? No, but I'm serious. We're together over 20 years. So I want to explain to you something. It just takes a couple weeks. It is not that hard. But you're wasting years, hours and hours and hours. That is actually worth way more. I have women come to me 32. They've been looking since 22. They lost their entire 20s. That is very sad to me just because no one knew how to show them how to do it better. You're ready to transform the way that you do apps because you are sick of them the way you currently have them. Let's talk. We're doing an interview workshop. Inshallah ta'ala, I'll put the link below. If you want to join us, I'm going to be modeling how to do things. And I cannot wait to show you that it is way easier than you think. Inshallah ta'ala. Right now, there's a list. Depending on when you're listening to this, it's either the wait list or the registration list. We're going to have wait list, then we're going to have registration list. Get your name on there. Don't even think twice. If this topic hit home, because there's no reason for you to not be married this year unless you really just want to keep doing it the way you're doing. And as far as I'm concerned, that's absolute madness. As Einstein said, madness is doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. Why would tomorrow be any different? And how many precious years are you losing in hours of sleep and emotional drain? Instead, you can know exactly what you do on those apps, do it in a very short amount of time, and be married way faster because we're doing things way more efficiently with a system that is proven to work. So I will see you inside there. And in the next podcast, Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.